everybody, I'm Mitch Ziegler, physical therapist at Spring Arbor University Physical Therapy. Today we're going to go over a technique that's going to help you release these tender points that are around your shoulder. How to evaluate to see if you have these tender points and then release them. Why is it important that we release these tender points? These tender points are just abnormal kind of muscle spasms, increased tone in the tissue that just makes the area, the muscle just shorter, and it just makes the joint not work like it should, like the shoulder joint or even the shoulder blade working on the ribs. So we're trying to get rid of those points just to make everything work a little bit better. And I've kind of developed this technique where we can divide it up into 4 quadrants of the shoulder to evaluate each part of the shoulder and then also get rid of the tender points in that area if we find some, okay? So we're gonna have a superior part, we're gonna have a back part here, okay? We're gonna have an underneath part, and we're gonna have a front part. So we're gonna look for tender points in each one of those quadrants, and then we're gonna release them. This is a Theracane. It is one of the tools you can buy on Amazon, or you can buy it online. They cost around $30. There's also a tool that's at Bed Bath & Beyond that I particularly like. It has another hook that comes around the other end here, and then if you get that $5 off coupon that comes in the mail like every other day, that you can just get it for $19. So I think that's a good buy. So let's move on with the techniques. So I want to take the end of the Theracane here, and I want to put it in this quadrant, the superior quadrant. And how I determine between the superior quadrant and this back quadrant here is there's a bone right here that runs on your shoulder blade. It sticks out really far, and we call it the spine of the scapula. You don't have to remember that, but that's how we determine between the upper part and the lower part, okay? So I'm going to find that bone, and then I'm going to evaluate all the tissue right in there to see if I have any tender points, okay? So I'm going to start poking right above that bone, and the muscles I'm poking on are the upper trapezius muscle and the supraspinatus muscle. And I'm seeing if there's any tender points in there, and I found one right there. So now what I want to do is I want to apply most of the pressure with this hand pulling downwards into that tender point, and that's going to release the tender point. But my other hand can help too, because if I take my other hand, I can create this little massage technique with my right hand. But what I don't want to do, and what I see a lot of people do, is they start to use this hand and they start to pull down with their right hand really hard, and then they start to activate the muscles of the shoulder, and that's what we don't want, because then that kind of defeats the purpose of doing the tender point release. We want those muscles relaxed. So I found the point, I'm pulling into it with my left hand, my right hand steers, massages the point out, okay? So when I started, let's just hypothetically say I had an 8 out of 10 tenderness, okay? My goal is to get it to at least a 4 out of 10, so I want to cut that tender point in half, but really the best thing that could happen is for it just to go completely numb, for it to go 0. So I want a 0, I want it to go numb, but I'm satisfied if it's half better, okay? So how long do I massage this tender point? Up to 2 minutes. If you haven't really got anything to change after 2 minutes, then just stop and then look for a different tender point in the area, because you probably haven't found the worst one, okay? So that's the treatment for the superior quadrant. And I'm going to find that bone again, and then I'm going to just take my Theracane and I'm going to put it below the bone, and I'm going to scan through this whole quadrant, this back quadrant. I'm going to stay on the shoulder blade, but I'm going to push on the muscles back there until I find one, if I do find one. And right there, I've got one. So I want to pull my hand this way to put pressure into the tender point. My right hand then just allows it to move around, and I can massage the point. Again, I want to get it to at least, I want the tender point to be cut in half, or I want it to go completely away. So that's the posterior one, or the back. I covered the superior one. Now to do the front one, you have to have a way to connect through a rope or even a TRX, or I'm using a band here, and I want to connect it to the Theracane, so then I can apply pressure to the front part of my shoulder. So the Theracane now is being pulled by the band and it's being pushed into my shoulder, and now I can search around and I can find any tender points that are in the anterior structures, and once I find them, I can just lean into it, and then I can just have my hand, in this case the left or the right hand, just massage that point until it goes away, okay? So lastly, that what we just did covered the front, we've covered the top, we've covered the back part. Now we need to get to this underarm part. Anytime you stick something in your underarm, it just doesn't feel good, okay? And so there will be this just uncomfortableness in general when you do this. But then there's going to be certain spots that are going to be in your underarm that really are uncomfortable, or that are worse, that have tenderness to them, okay? So that's what we're looking for. So first you just push you just push, you lean over so the cane or the stick pushes up into your armpit, and then you start to maneuver around into different parts of your armpit and see if there's one part of the armpit that's really sore, okay? So for instance, when I go to the back part, when I kind of push back to the back part of my armpit, it's sore back there. So I'm just gonna leave the stick right there, and I'm gonna lean my body into that tender point, and then I'm just gonna do some little circles with my body just to kind of massage that tender point that's in my armpit, okay? So if the point is more towards the front, what you're going to do is you're just going to lean your body into the stick again so it pushes in the front of your armpit, and then you're just going to do those circles to the front part of the armpit, just looking for the point that's the most tender and trying to release that, okay? So this is an uncomfortable thing to do, is stick something in your armpit, but we're actually looking for tenderness or points that are more tender in your armpit when we do that, okay? So that is the quadrant stretching program right there. We've covered all 4 quadrants, the top, the back, the underneath, and the front. They're really good at when you release these tender points, you'll probably notice that the range of motion that you'll have is going to be more, and you'll probably be more pain-free with your motions. These are really good techniques to practice, and your therapist should probably show you how to do these in person, but this video should just kind of be a reminder of how to do it. But this is the quadrant tender point release. Thank you very much for watching the video.